Okay, so let's get some factoring practice in. Some of you are struggling. This one has what's called a leading coefficient, or a number in front of x squared. When we have a number in front of x squared, you multiply that a times that c, and 2 times -1 is -2. And I need the factors of -2 that combine to +1. So to be -2, one of these two need to be negative, and for it to add to +1, I need the -1 to be, or need the 1 to be negative. Now I'm going to split the middle. So I write the first term as is, 2x squared. Now I'm splitting the middle. Order does not matter. So I can do plus 2x minus 1x minus 1. So the only thing that changed is in place of that x, I split that middle. Now we're going to do something that's called factor by grouping. So I group the first two terms together and the last two terms. So I look at both these two terms, 2x squared and 2x. I can divide both of these by 2x. So when I take a 2x from here, I get just x left over. And when I divide this by 2x, I get a +1. Now this symbol, this minus, needs to come down. And now I don't have a factor in common, so I need to write something. So I write a 1. So I'm dividing this term by -1, I get +x. I divide this by -1, I get a +1. When these two in the parentheses are the same, you know you've done it right. So now we write one of those, x plus 1 is one of the factors, and then this outside 2x and this outside -1 combined to be the second. And that is how you factor a trinomial with a leading coefficient. So the only thing that you have to pay attention to is the signs. So here, it's pretty much the same thing, but the signs are different. So I do the same thing. 2 times -1 is -2. The things that multiply to 2 are 1 and 2, but combined to -1, so this time the 2 is negative. So I write 2x squared. I split that middle into minus 2x plus 1x minus 1. Now I'm going to go and group them, 2 and 2. And so the first two terms have a 2x in common. Divide it out and I get x minus 1. Bring down that plus. No number in common, so I'm going to write a 1, and I get x minus 1. The factors that are in parentheses are the exact same, so we've done it right. So now one of the factors is x minus 1, and the outside 2x and the outside +1 come together as the second answer. So there's that factoring. Okay, this trinomial does not have a number in front, so this one's a bit easier. Factors of negative, this time all I do is I look at that last term because there's nothing to multiply, and even if I do multiply, 1 times that value is just going to be that value because that's what the leading coefficient is. So I need the factors of -2 that combine to -1. So 1 times -2 is -2. 1 plus -2 is -1. So I know that those are the two factors, and this immediately goes into x plus 1, x minus 2. And that's all that needs to be done, and that's quick, easy factoring. Okay, so same thing on this. I need the factors of -2 that combine this time to +1. So -1 times 2 is -2. -1 plus 2 is +1. So this is x minus 1 and x plus 2. And that is that factoring. Okay, so these are common factors. When we've been having some issues with you seeing that they're signed in two different terms. Remember, terms are things that are separated by an addition or subtraction sign. I see that both of these have an x in common, so an x comes out, and when I divide x squared by x, I get x, and divide 2x by x, I get 2, so that is x and x minus 2. So this next one, they each have a 2 and an x in common. Divide out that 2x, and I get an x plus 1. And that is just quick factoring of the level of factoring that we need for our solving of equations.